Nora Ellis hated late-night shifts, the kind that left her feet aching, and her spirit even more exhausted. She tugged her thin jacket closer around her as she stepped out of the grocery store where she worked, the wind slicing through the empty parking lot. The lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows on the cracked pavement. Her bus wasn't coming for another 40 minutes. Her phone battery was dying, and the temperature was dropping fast. Perfect. Nora rubbed her arms, wishing she could disappear into warmth, into safety, into anything that wasn't this lonely stretch of asphalt. A sleek black car rolled up to the curb. She froze. The tinted window glided down, and then she saw him, Dorian Hale, the quiet man who came through her checkout line twice a week. The man who always bought the same things: mint tea, 2 apples, and a newspaper. The man whose eyes were kind but unreadable, who always asked how her day was even when she was too tired to answer properly. He leaned toward the open window, concern tightening his normally calm face. "Nora," he said gently, "are you waiting for someone?" She blinked. Just the bus. His gaze drifted to the empty street, the dim flickering lights. "This late? It's freezing." She shrugged, embarrassed. "I don't really have a choice." Dorian hesitated, just enough for emotion to flicker behind his expression before he opened the car door and stepped out. His coat looked warm enough for 3 winters, his presence even warmer. "Let me drive you home," he said quietly. Nora's eyes widened. "Oh no, that's okay. I don't want to bother you." "You're not," Dorian said, his voice steady but soft. "It's late, it's cold, and you look exhausted. Please." The sincerity in his voice made her breath catch. Still, she hesitated. "I barely know you." He offered a small, gentle smile. "That's fair, but I promise I'm safe. No hidden motives. Just let me take you home." His smile, calm, patient, and warm, felt like the first good thing she'd seen all day. She nodded slowly. "Okay." He opened the passenger door for her, waiting until she was seated before closing it carefully. The interior smelled like cedar and faint mint, and the warmth made her shiver with relief. Dorian got in beside her, fastening his seatbelt. "You sure you're comfortable?" Nora nodded. "Thank you." He smiled again, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. The car pulled onto the road, the city lights blurring past the windows. Silence settled between them, not awkward, just thoughtful. "You work too late," Dorian said gently. "Is it always like this?" Nora exhaled. "Most days, yes. Bills don't care if I'm tired." He glanced at her. "You shouldn't have to deal with all that alone." The words touched her unexpectedly, like warm hands around cold fingers. She cleared her throat. "What about you? You're always buying." "Newspapers like it's still 1995. Dorian's laugh surprised her. It was low, warm, slightly self-conscious. "I like the feel of paper. Screens feel loud." "You sound like someone who has way too many screens in his life," she teased. He looked out the window. "You have no idea." The way he said it, soft, almost sad, made her brows knit. Before she could press, the car slowed at a red light. The glow illuminated his face shadows softening, vulnerability sharpening. He inhaled deeply. "Nora," he said suddenly, "there's something I should tell you." Her heart skipped. "What is it?" He didn't look at her at first. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. His jaw worked the way someone's does when they're about to say something they've held in too long. "You know me as the quiet guy who buys newspapers," he murmured. "And I love that version of your life, but that's not all of me." Her pulse quickened. Dorian turned to her, his expression open in a way she had never seen. My name isn't just Dorian Hale. Her breath stopped. The light turned green, but the car didn't move. I own Hale Tech, he said quietly. The company, all of it. The world tilted. Hale Tech, one of the biggest tech corporations in the country. A name she saw on billboards, buses, laptops everywhere. She gasped, covering her mouth. Dorian, you're the you. The billionaire everyone whispers about? He finished softly. Yes. Her body went cold and hot all at once. Why was he here? Why was he helping her? Why did he look so afraid of her reaction? Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Dorian swallowed. Because the moment people know who I am, they change. They want things. They treat me like a prize instead of a person. He looked at her, voice trembling. But you never did. You looked at me like I was someone worth knowing, not someone worth using. Her breath shook. And I didn't want to lose that, he continued. Not before I even had the courage to ask if you'd ever let me be part of your world. Her heart thudded painfully. Softly, he added, the truth is, I care about you, Nora, more than I should. Nora's whole world shifted inside that parked car. The billionaire wasn't terrifying. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't manipulating her. He was terrified of the same thing she was, being unwanted for who he truly was. The light turned yellow above them. Neither moved. Nora whispered, Dorian. His breath hitched, waiting. I don't know what any of this means, she said, voice trembling. But I don't want to leave the car. Dorian exhaled shaky, relieved, grateful. And for the first time, she saw him smile with his whole heart. Dorian didn't breathe for several seconds. Not until Nora's words, I don't want to leave the car, settled between them like something fragile and astonishing. Slowly he exhaled, shoulders relaxing for the first time since the red light stopped them. You're not scared? He asked quietly. Nora shook her head. I'm surprised, shocked, maybe a little dizzy, but scared. She breathed out. No, not of you. Something bright and wounded flickered in his eyes, like he wasn't used to hearing that. He eased the car forward, pulling into a small overlook where the city spread beneath them in shimmering blues and golds. He parked, turned off the engine, and sat back. Silence, warm, slow, charged. Nora toyed with the zipper of her jacket. I don't understand why someone like you would notice someone like me. A painful softness crossed his face. Please don't say that. But it's true, she murmured. You're successful, you're powerful. You walk into a room and people move. And I'm just Nora. His tone was gentle but firm. Don't diminish yourself. She looked at him, surprised. You're kind, he said. You're patient. You're genuine in a world full of people pretending. I've spent years surrounded by boardrooms and executives and investors who see me as leverage or a ladder. His voice softened. But you ask me how my day is like you actually care. Nora's chest tightened. That means more to me than you know, Dorian added. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The city lights glimmered below, and the quiet in the car felt like a shared breath. Something intimate, something delicate, something real. Finally, Nora whispered, You should have told me earlier. He nodded slowly. I know, I was afraid. Afraid of what? That you'd walk away before I got the chance to show you who I am, without all of this. He gestured vaguely to the car, the expensive interior, the world he came from. I didn't want to lose you before I had you. Her heart thudded. So what happens now? She asked. Dorian looked at her hands, then lifted his eyes with quiet determination. Now, you tell me what you want. She blinked. Me? Yes, he said softly. This can't be about who I am. It has to be about whether you want us. Nora looked out at the city, at the world that always felt too big for her, too far beyond her reach. And then she looked at Dorian, this gentle man who bought mint tea, read real newspapers, and listened to her with an intensity she'd never known. I don't know where this leads, she whispered, and I don't want to be a story or an exception or something that fades when you're busy. You won't be, Dorian said immediately. How can you promise that? His voice softened, steady and real. Because I haven't wanted anything this much in a very long time. Her breath caught. I'm not asking for anything from you, he said. Not money, not romance, not even a second date. All I'm asking for is the chance to keep driving you home, to learn you, to earn you. A tremor moved through her chest. Slowly, Nora reached across the console, her fingertips brushing his. Dorian froze, hope blooming in his eyes. I want that too, she whispered. He let out a shaky laugh, relief flooding his expression. Yeah? Nora nodded. Yeah. Dorian gently took her hand, careful, reverent, like she was something he never wanted to mishandle. The warmth of his palm wrapped around hers, grounding her, steadying her, making everything outside the car feel quieter. Nora, he murmured, thank you. For what? For not running, he said, voice barely above a breath. For seeing me. Her smile trembled. You've been seeing me this whole time. Dorian shook his head, eyes warm. Not just seeing you. He paused. Choosing you. Her breath hitched. The city lights glowed like stars below them. And in the quiet of the parked car, just two people, one secret, and a heart finally opening. Nora realized something. She wasn't afraid anymore. Because for once, she wasn't alone.